Hi, welcome back. This is Vito Scarnecchia with Abitano Real Estate. This is episode number 4 of Buying Your First Home. And today we're talking about how long does it take to buy your first home. Stay tuned to the very end. We'll have a bonus tip for you as well. Hi again, Vito Scarnecchia. Thanks again for watching the series. Hope it's been informative for you so far. There's a lot of steps involved, and the one thing I want you to take away from this is understanding that there is a process. And this process I have written down, and when we sit down and talk about buying your home, I walk through it individually, step by step with you. And then at the end of the day, you're going to call me back or text me and say, what happens next? And I'm going to tell you what's happening next. Matter of fact, I have a daily routine of catching up with you, saying this is what happened yesterday, this is what's on the docket today, and this is what's happening in the next couple steps. So you're mentally prepared about what's going on. From the finance, getting approved stage, to looking for a house, to negotiating, all the way to closing, and then some. I'm with you every step of the way. So how long does it take to buy a house? Well, that's multiple different steps, and the answer is it's all dependent on you. There's the financial approval side, there's looking for the house, there's getting into contract, then there's the time to close escrow and then closing escrow, and that's all variable. So for example, it could take 2 days to get your approval done. If you have your pay stubs, your W-2, your bank statements, everything all set and ready to go, and you send it off to the lender, and the underwriter gets it just in time, and you could be approved in as little as 2 days. It could take a week. It could take 3 weeks, depending on how quickly you communicate with your lender, and your lender communicates with you. Once you're approved, then really the longest time, I'll tell you this right now, the longest time is finding that perfect house. And you can do it ahead of time, but once you understand what your budget is and how much you really want to spend, then you whittle down to different little areas, and that could take 2-3 months to find your perfect house. Once you get in a contract, that's another thing too. It really depends on what your needs are and what the seller needs are, because our job is to make sure that we shake hands with the seller and we get you that offer accepted. But there might be, they need 15-day rent back, or they want a 15-day close. They're going to be gone in 16 days because they're buying another house and they're closing in 17 days. So a lot of things that could affect that negotiation strategy before getting into contract. But once we get into contract, it pretty much goes as planned. Sometimes there's delays on the lender side, and those things you can't really help. Sometimes the seller has issues that you have to negotiate with on the outside, and those things are really easy to work with. And then there's the close. You might be able to close in 15 days, but the seller wants 45-day rent back. Well, that's kind of stupid, but sellers want what they want. And when the market is crazy hot, sellers get what they want. Right now the market's kind of cool, it's flat. It's not a buyer's market, it's still a seller's market. Sellers are being less demanding, buyers are being much more picky. So you have a little bit more breathing room as far as asking for things and getting things done, but also understand that that seller needs to move somewhere, and they might need 10 or 15 days to take the equity from their house, the house that you're buying, to the new house and actually closing on it and then moving their stuff there. There's a lot of variables that we can work with to make it stress-free for you as well as the seller. So getting back to it, how long does it take? It could be 15 days and you're moving in. They could have already bought a house in Arizona and they're living there and they want the deal closed as quickly as possible. Great, you get to move in 15 days. It could be a 45-day close because they're not really in a hurry to close, and they have enough money to put equity into their new house, and that's fine, and everything will kind of gel out later. So it really depends. So from start to finish, it could be 20 days, it could be 60 days, it could be 90 days. Really depends on a lot of different variables. All right, so ready for tip number 4? I already kind of said it. It's kind of like a spoiler. Not really. Kind of said it. Yeah. So the tip number 4 is finding your house takes the longest. You know, you might have agents that are going to force you into a 3-bedroom house, even though you really want a 4, or you might get a house without a pool, but you really want a pool. Stick to your guns, because you don't want to make a mistake on this. You really want to know what you're going to get. And it's so right for you to change your mind. That's what takes the longest time. Finding your house, the one that speaks to you. When the angels come down and oh, sing to you and say, this is the house that you really want to spend the rest of your life in, or the next 10 years in, or maybe it's your transitional house. I just need to buy a house for the next 5 to 10 years, and that's good. This is our second house. We bought this house specifically because we knew we were raising a family, so we were finding a house. We were looking for a house in a neighborhood with a good school, close to a park, had good potential for growth. And we got in right before the market just flamed up, and we did a fantastic job getting into it, making sure that the sellers were happy. We weren't really looking. My wife was looking kind of off and on. We had the loan approval ready to go just in case something happened, and we happened to find this house. And I sold my house and closed on the house that we were living in, our first house, within 25 days, and we closed on this house in 30 days, and everything kind of just worked out. So understand that when things are meant to be and you don't feel like you're forcing it, that's the house talking to you and saying, this is it. This is the house I want. This is the house I deserve. And don't overpay for it. So there you go. Finding the house takes the longest. All right, so that's my 4-video series on how to buy your first house. Understand that when we do sit down, I'll walk you through the entire process step by step. And I will remind you that I am, in fact, kind of like your Sherpa. I guide you up the mountain of buying a house. There's a lot of different variables that can come up. It's my job to educate you on what's happening, how it can go down, your choices, how we can negotiate a little bit better, and make the whole process a lot less stressful for you. And my job doesn't end once we close. I actually am here to help you choose movers and move your utilities and magazine subscriptions and bills over. We do a whole different stream of different things to help you with the move and settle in, and talk to interior designers, painters, contractors, you name it. We'll make sure that you get your house set up the way you want to when you're ready. So that's it, buying your first house. I'm Vito Scarnecchia, Abitano I'm Real Estate, your realtor in San Jose, California. We'll see you out there.